All right, we are now live.
Fully live?
Fully live. Fully worded thought.
Candles are lit.
Yes, they are. I think that to move them would be too big of a distraction, and we have to light them and then say the blessing anyway.
All right.
So we just jumped the gun a little bit. All right. Shabbat Shalom. It is such a pleasure to have you joining us for the Temple Emanuel of South Hills live stream Shabbat service. Tim Brogdon and I are excited to get our service started at about 7 o'clock this evening. So in just a couple of minutes, we're going to keep filling this time with song, with sound, so that you might know that your audio is working. Encouraging you, of course, to use the chat feature if you're so inclined to wish us a Shabbat Shalom, as well as everyone who is joining in this sacred online community. So excited to have you joining us this evening for the Temple Emanuel of South Hills live stream of our Shabbat services. We're going to get started in just a few minutes. I see one change that I'm going to make. Forgive me while I step off screen for about a moment. All right, there we go. Good evening. I'm so glad you're joining us. This is the Temple Emanuel of South Hills live stream of our Shabbat evening services. Though we're precluded from being together in person due to the circumstances of this moment, we join together in virtual community. We're going to wait but a few minutes after 7 to ensure that others are able to join us to get the technology working. And I'm aware that the live stream link doesn't work until we are actually streaming. And so we want to give a little bit of a runway for people to join this service. Perhaps you stopped at the synagogue and got your copy of Mishkan Tefillah prayer book that is sandwiched between the double doors in the courtyard entrance. And we'd welcome you to come and grab a Shabbat version for these worship services or a weekday version for our Sunday morning minyan. Going to make sure that we start just a few minutes after 7, allowing those who wish the runway to join us. There's also a flip book version of Mishkan Tefillah that the CCAR Press put online that you might choose to use. Now would be a great time to begin flipping to page 20 in that flip book version. You can also use the search feature in the bottom by simply adding the number 18 to any of the page numbers that you might hear from us this evening. We're going to continue in just a few minutes. Now we enjoy Tim's noodling on the guitar as we wait just a few moments to get started. Your audio is working. Hopefully your video is too. We invite you to use the chat box feature to wish others, to wish us a Shabbat Shalom.
By the way, Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. We're so excited that you are joining us this evening for the live stream of Temple Emanuel of South Hills Shabbat evening service. I see that our numbers continue to creep up as more are joining this link. In future weeks, hopefully we'll be able to use this platform as well as Facebook Live. We're not quite there yet, kind of building this airplane as we go. We look forward to being there with you. Many different ways you access technology, many different ways you access virtual community in the days to come. We'll begin our service in just a moment. Shabbat Shalom, Aaron and Scott. Glad that you are joining us. And Shabbat Shalom to everyone. Please feel free to use that chat feature to engage with one another, to engage with us as service leaders throughout our evening. I think we're about ready. You?
I think I'm ready.
Let's do it, man. שבת אחים גם יחד, הנה מה טוב ומה נעים. שבת אחים גם יחד, הנה 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 מה טוב ומה נעים. שבת אחים גם יחד, הנה מה טוב ומה נעים. שבת אחים יחד, הנה 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 Shabbat Shalom. The poet Alden Solovey writes, God, help me through this day. Guide me toward kindness, gentleness, and peace. Grant me strength and endurance, courage and humor, so that I may do your will with a full heart, in joy and in love. Grant me wholeness, a day filled with wonder and awe. Then, God of all being, I will become a source of blessing, a bearer of light in your world. It's been a long week. Many of us are feeling that absence of light, not only on this cloudy day that forces us into our homes, but because of current circumstances that, force us into our homes. And we're so delighted to be able to connect with you in this virtual space. On behalf of the entire team here at Temple Emanuel, Rabbi Jessica Locketts, Executive Director Leslie Hoffman, ECDC Director Iris Harlan, Tim Brogdon and I are so excited to be with you in this virtual space, bringing some extra light into the world, as Alden Solovey encouraged us to do. Just a few news and notes about our service before we begin this evening. We're going to be using page numbers from the congregation's blue Mishkan Tefillah prayer book. Perhaps you have stopped by. You can do so in a no-contact way, grabbing a prayer book from the double doors outside of the courtyard entrance, or perhaps you're using the CCAR's flip book version of the prayer book. I would invite you at this time to begin clicking to page 20, or you can use the search feature if you simply add the number 18 to the bottom. But in recognition of the light that we need in this world, we've already kindled our Shabbat lights, and we invite you to do so in your home, pulling those candles close as we join together in our blessing. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat. On page 20, we find words of Lecha Dodi, welcoming the Sabbath, Shabbat, into your space along with us. Lecha Dodi, Likrat Kala, and Lehi Shabbat. Likrat Kala, and Lehi Shabbat. Shokol וזכור ברב אחד השמיענו אל המלכה אדוני אחד ושמו אחד לשם ולתפארת ולתהילה לך לקראת כלה בני שבת נקבלה לך דודי לקראת כלה בני שבת נקבלה לקראת שבת לכו ונלכה כי מקורב רחב בראש וקדם נסוכה סוף מעשה במחשבה תחילה לך דודי לקראת כלה בני שבת נקבלה לך דודי לקראת כלה בני שבת נקבלה בואי ושלום עטרת בעלה גם בשמחה ובשולה תוך אמוני עם סגולה בואי כלה לך דודי לקראת כלה בני שבת נקבלה לך דודי לקראת כלה בני שבת נקבלה. Shabbat Shalom. I'm so glad you're joining us on the Temple Emanuel of South Hills live stream of our Shabbat evening service. This is the time of the service where we turn one to another in greeting. Having greeted the Sabbath bride, we turn now to greeting all of you who are joining us. It's wonderful that many of you are using the chat feature, and the soon-to-be Hurwitz family and the Dell family and the Steinfelds and the Markowitzes and the Weisbergs and the Piddles and the Udrins. We wish you all a Shabbat Shalom. And I would invite you to take this opportunity to grab your technology, to grab your cell phones, to send a message to those in your orbit, those of your friends or families who could be in use of that greeting of Shabbat at this time. As we turn in our prayer books, page 24, if you have one, words of Shalom Aleichem as we continue the greeting of God's ministering angels. Shalom Aleichem, Malachi Hasharet, Malachi Elyon. Melech Malachi Hamlach HaKadosh Baruch Hu Molechem Leshalom Malachi HaShalom Malachi
עליון, מימי מלאכי המלך, הקדוש ברוך הוא. ברכוני לשלום, מלאכי השלום, מלאכי עליון, ממלך מלאכי המלך, הקדוש ברוך הוא. שכם לשלום, מלאכי השלום, מלאכי עליון, ממלך מלאכי המלך, הקדוש ברוך הוא, הקדוש ברוך הוא.
We continue that greeting, turning one to another, using our technology, wishing you a Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Whew. I'm catching my breath.
Yeah.
Can you believe I forgot the Kaddish list downstairs 2 weeks in a row?
I was like, you found a window of opportunity.
It is always something, isn't it? We're all doing the best we can in this challenging time.
Amen.
We turn now to our Barfo praise. You may notice that we as service leaders remain seated, and we invite you to do the same. Page 28.
Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. ברכו את אדוני המבורך,
We remain seated, though we rise in spirit for each of these prayers, recognizing that to stand would create a distraction in the visual field, would take us off camera. More important for us to remain connected to you as part of this community. More important, I think, for you to remain connected with us as we each need a little bit of extra love in our lives. That love of connection, that love that comes from recognizing that we're part of something greater than ourselves. A love we recognize in our liturgy from God with words of Ahavat Olam, page 32.
אהבת עולם בית ישראל עמך תורה ומצוות חוקים ומשפטים אותנו למטה כן אדוני אלוהינו בשוכבנו ובקומנו נשיח בחוקך ונשמח בדברי תורתך ובמצוותיך לעולם ועד. חיינו חלק ימינו ומהר נגד יומם ולילה.
Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael. Praise to you, Adonai, who loves your people Israel. The watchwords of our faith, page 34, Shema Yisrael.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. 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 Baruch Shem Kavod Malchuto Leolam Vaed. Baruch Shem Kavod Malchuto Leolam Vaed. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad.
Words of Ve'ahavta reminding us of the centrality of our homes, in our lives, and in our prayers. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levacha v'chol nafshecha v'chol meodecha v'hayu advarim ha'ele asher Anochi metzavecha hayom al levavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam v'shivtecha b'beitecha u'lechtecha b'derech u'shokbecha u'lumecha u'kshartam le'ot al yadecha v'hayu letotafot beinenecha u'chtavtam al mezuzot beitecha u'visharecha leman tizkeru v'asitem et kol mitzvotai v'hitem kedoshim le'Elohechem. Ani Adonai Elohechem asher hotzeti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim liyot lachem le'Elohim. Ani Adonai Elohechem. Our Michamocha praise, our promise of freedom, reminds us not only of a historical freedom, but of a sense of responsibility. Passover is coming in but a few short weeks, and we're excited to share some plans with you from the congregation for how we might use technology to enrich and enhance our ritual. But from Passover to Shavuot, we begin to number the days, recognizing that the freedom of Passover is wonderful, but it's really counting down until we get to that sense of responsibility, the obligation that comes with the giving of mitzvot, the revelation at Sinai. We number each and every day, helping to separate them one from the next, helping to remember our responsibility. Freedom isn't to do whatever we want. Freedom is to live by our highest values, taking care of those in this world, even when the best way we can do that is by seemingly doing nothing. It is a freedom that we have the luxury to be able to embrace, though this is a difficult time for many of us. And these words on page 40, Michamocha, remind us that while this may feel unique, it's been true for generations of our people.
Michamocha ba'elim Adonai, Michamocha netar b'kodesh, Michamocha ba'elim Adonai, Michamocha netar b'kodesh. Nor tehilo, osefele, nora tehilo, osefele, Adonai, imlok leolam ba'el. מלכותך רבניך, בוקע ים לפני משה ים, זה לי ינו ואמרו, זה לי ינו ואמרו, אדוני ימלוך לעולם מהר. מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נטע בקודש, מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נטע בקודש. נורא תהילות, אוסף אליהם, נורא תהילות, osefele, Adonai, imlok leolam ba'el.
An evening prayer for peace by Rabbi Jill Zimmerman as we prepare for Hashkivenu praise. An evening blessing for caregivers, she writes. Dear one, may our tears flow when they flow. May we remember to see vulnerability as a value. May we care for ourselves as we tend to the needs of others. May the virtual care we struggle to provide become more real with every encounter. May we remember rest, and may we remain resilient. Amen. Right. We continue with our Hashkivenu praise, page 42.
Hashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu v'shalom, Amitenu shomrei, Lulechai. Hashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu v'shalom, Amitenu shomrei, Lulechai. Ushmocha setenu, Uloheinu, L'chaim u'shalom, me'ata ve'adonai. Hashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu v'shalom, Hamidenu shomreinu l'chai. Hashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu l'shalom, v'hamidenu shomreinu l'chai.
The covenant of Shabbat holds us and uplifts us even during these difficult times, perhaps especially during these difficult times. And with words of Vishamru, we remember that it is a covenant for all time, for us to engage, for us to rest and relax, for us to reconnect with our highest values as Shabbat.
Shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, לעשות את השבת בתורתם ברית עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת בתורתם ברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם, אותי לעולם, אותי לעולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לתורתם ברית עולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ, וישמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת תורת הברית עולם. וביום השביעי שבת יין נפש, שבת יין נפש, שבת יין נפש, וישמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת בתורת הברית עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לתורת הברית עולם.
So glad that you are joining us for Temple Emanuel's live stream Shabbat evening service. I wish you all a Shabbat Shalom, and I'm so glad you are here with us. Continue to use that chat box, continue to use text throughout our service to reach out to us, to reach out to others who are joining us, to reach out to others in your orbit who could use the comforting peace of Shabbat as we continue on page 46 with the central portion of our worship service. Adonai sefatai tiftach ufi yagid tehillatcha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei avotenu v'imatenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah. Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor V'Hanurah, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'Konei Hakol, V'Zocher Chasdevot V'Machol, U'Mevii Gula Livnei Bneihem, Leman Shemo B'Ahava, Melech Ozer Moshiach U'Magin. Baruch atah Adonai, Magin Avraham, Bezrat Sarah. Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai, Mechayeh HaKol atah Rav Le'Hoshia. Mashiv HaRuach u'Morid HaGashem, Mechachel Chayim B'Chesed, Mechayeh HaKol B'Rachamim Rabim. Somech Noflim V'Rofei Cholim, Umatir Asurim, Umekayim Emunato, Lishenei Afar, Michamo Chabal Gevurot, Umidon Melach, Melech Memit Umechayeh, Umatzmiach Yeshua, V'ne'eman Atala Chayot HaKol. Baruch atah Adonai, Mechayeh HaKol. Atah Kadosh v'Shimcha Kadosh, U'Kadoshim b'chol yom yaluch haSelah. Baruch atah Adonai, Ha'el HaKadosh. It is the central portion of our worship service. That the central portion of our service at this time has to be a prayer for peace, not only shalom, a sense of peace in our hearts, but a sense of shalem, a sense of wholeness in our lives. Words of Oseh Shalom can be found on page 62, and we invite you to join us in song.
Oseh Shalom Roma, Hu Ya'aseh Shalom Aleinu, Ve'al Kol Yisrael, Ve'imru Amen. Ya'aseh Shalom, Ya'aseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu, Ve'al Kol Yisrael, Ya'aseh Shalom, Ya'aseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu, Ve'al Kol Yisrael. Yahaseh Shalom, Yahaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu Ve'akol Yisrael. Yahaseh Shalom, Yahaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu Ve'akol Yisrael. Yahaseh Shalom, Yahaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu Ve'akol Yisrael.
El Na Rafana La, Moses cried out, asking for healing for Miriam, his sister, one of the earliest prayers we get in our tradition. In the prayers of our tradition, our Misha Berach, El Na Rafana La, those prayers asking for healing and wholeness are deep on our hearts this evening. We ask for a sense of wholeness, a sense of peace, not only for those who are suffering from physical ailments, whether they be those that they were dealing with before this outbreak, or whether those in our loved ones and our community are beginning to fall prey to this virus. We also ask for a sense of healing, a sense of peace for all who are suffering psychologically at this time, who have been cut off from their sources of support, who are searching for new sources of support in this virtual space. We're honored to be with you and invite you to continue connecting to one another as we ask for God's company on this journey with words of Misha Berach, our prayer for healing, page 253.
Misheberach Avoteinu Mekol habracha Limahuteinu. May the source of strength, who blessed the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. Misheberach Imoteinu Mekol habracha Lavoteinu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say Amen.
You know, building the tabernacle, the traveling sanctuary that the Israelites carried through their wanderings in the desert, was something of a precision craft. Each piece was cut to exact specifications. Only the finest materials were used. Gold and silver and copper and cut stones and fine fabrics. It really took an expert. Bezalel and Oholiab were those experts in their day. And each of us are the experts in ours. Make no mistake, the beautiful construction we're each creating in the confines of our own homes is no less exacting, no less remarkable than God's dwelling in the desert. Ours is created out of kindness and giving each other the benefit of the doubt. It's created out of empathy and the ability to recognize tiredness and frustration and feelings of loss for what they are and not as personal attacks. The structure of our home lives during this trying time is being crafted from finding healthy outlets for boredom and frustration, and finding quiet when the noise gets to be too much, and finding noise when the quiet gets to be too much. Moses called Bezalel and Oholiab and every person endowed with skill to undertake the task of building the tabernacle, and we, each of us, have the necessary skill to undertake the task we are called to this day. It feels almost like we're being called to do nothing, but I'm not going for a walk, a run, a skip, read a book, like Dara Horan's Guide for the Perplexed for our book discussion on Sunday, March 29th. Relax a little bit, certainly, but stick to your routine. It will provide some normalcy to these days and keep each day from sliding by without accomplishment. Multiple times this week, I found in myself asking what day it even was, and I realized that I need to do better in this area. We all have to keep our social distance from one another, of course, but communicate with friends and family. Communicate. Call, text, FaceTime, Skype, Zoom, Snap, tweet, communicate. I spent the first part of my career telling people to turn aside from technology to embrace one another, and now I'm encouraging you to embrace technology for the express purpose of embracing one another. It's all we can do at this time, and it's more than enough if we take our responsibility seriously. It's a topsy-turvy world in which we live, and we're each doing the very best that we can. Do you remember how the story of this week's Torah portion ends? The construction of the tabernacle, how it came together? And I quote, "The people are bringing more than is needed for the task the Eternal has commanded to be done. They brought more than enough for the job at hand." May it be so with us. May you continue to bring more kindness, more compassion, more empathy, more listening, more walking away when that is what is needed, and more leaning in when that is what is needed. More healthy outlets for your frustration, and more smiles, even if you're faking it until you make it. May you continue to bring more than is needed to complete the task at hand. You are skilled, each one of you, and you and we can do this together. We turn in our prayer books to page 282 if you are using our blue Mishkan Tefillah prayer book, or to page 300 if you're using the flip book version and can use the search feature to find words of Aleinu L'Shabech, always a forward-looking prayer in our tradition to a time when that sense of peace and wholeness pervades every minute, every hour, every day of our lives.
Aleinu l'shabech l'Adon hakol, לתת גדולה יוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי ארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל העולם. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו אחד.
We have the honor of joining this week by Zoom, by a video conference, and then Facebook with another Jewish musician, Chava Morel, who reminded us that sometimes human touch can be done by each of us. And so as we join in but a few moments in words of our mourner's Kaddish, our Kaddish Yatom, as we call to mind those whom we are missing this evening, I invite you to place a hand on your own arm, a hand on your heart, that you might feel that presence of one another. Though we are now separated by space, we're not separated by time. We're here with one another as we remember one taken from us in recent days, Boris A. Tarpel, and we mark the yahrzeit of Fanny Back and William Blockstein, Blanche Cantor and Bertha R. Carter, John Drum, Israel Fargostein, Albert Fleitman, Frank Czech, Jonathan Friedman, Theodore Goldberg, Philip Goldstein, Stuart Greenberg, Joseph W. Horowitz, Anna Israel, Norton L. Kalinsky, Fred Carlson, Zelda Camisar, Pearl Weissman Kantrowitz, Israel Koidanov, Rebecca Levine, Sylvia Levy, Frida B. Lipman, Edna Mitosky, Ralph Midler, Bertram Birdie Miller, David Morris, Isaac Oppenheim, Glenn Osborne, Ralph Raffel, Anne Birkin Richest, Arnold Martin Rosenberg, Lori Ann Sachs, Kenneth Samowich, Ann Seidenfeld, Samuel B. Sheffman, Nathan Smiga, Judith R. Sobel, Isaac Solomon, Mark L. Uniton, Fred Wagman, Philip Weinstein, Louis Wolfson, Sarah Wolfson, and Molly Zimmerman. If I've mispronounced the name of a loved one, I express my apologies at this time and hope that you can feel the warmth of spirit as I try to remember all of those our congregational family has lost. And at this time, I invite you to say aloud the names of one you are thinking of, not only to bring their mind into this day and age, to continue their memory, but so that when our service is done, you might share aloud a story, a memory, as if they could hear you, as if we could hear you, to keep their memories alive. May their memories be for us an everlasting blessing as we join together in words of Kaddish Yatom. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, ve'almad yivrach yiratei v'yamlik malchutei, v'chayechon u'vyomechon u'chayeh d'chol beit Yisrael, ba'gala v'zman kariv v'yimru, amen. Yehei shemei Rabbah mevarach le'olam l'amei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh v'yithadar v'yithaleh v'yithalal shmei l'chidsha b'rechu le'elah min kol yerchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechamata damiram ve'alma v'yigru amen. Yehei shalama rabba min shemaya v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'yigru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu yaseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'yimru, amen. May God, who makes peace in the highest of heavens, make peace for us and for all who mourn. And together, wherever we are, we say, Amen. But a few words of thank you and announcement. The Temple Emanuel team has been working hard throughout the last couple of weeks. Not only our professional staff, Rabbi Jessica Lockett, our executive director Leslie Hoffman, our ECDC director Iris Harlan, our lay leadership, President David Weisberg, incoming President Michelle Markowitz, and so many else in our caring communities, on our ECDC advisory board, our worship committee, our board of trustees, as we strive to do the best we can during this very challenging time. I'm grateful for your remaining with us, for your tuning in to those programs that we offer via daily email, allowing us to connect and continue connecting to one another. And this evening, I'm particularly grateful for you, Tim, for bringing your talents into this space. We are fortunate to have not only a musician and a mensch to be guiding us in our prayers this evening. Our services will continue tomorrow morning at 8:30 a.m. right here in this space. Rabbi Emily Meyer will join us for our Shabbat morning service beginning at 8:30 using the same link by which you accessed this YouTube stream. Our Torah study, always a robust discussion, continues at 9 a.m. using the Zoom platform so that we can continue that robust discussion. You'll find an email going out that is pre-scheduled to send that link to you tomorrow morning, as well as a Facebook post on the Temple's page, followed immediately after by Lauren Blanky's bat mitzvah. Lauren and all of your family who may be watching us this evening, we're so excited to celebrate with you in this virtual space as you become a bat mitzvah, reminding us what grace looks like during a challenging time and bringing a breath of fresh air and a new Jewish adult into this world at a time when we could really use your guidance. Of course, tomorrow evening, we conclude Shabbat on our Facebook live stream at 8:30 p.m. at the home of Rabbi Jessica Lockett and Larry Schwartz as they lead you in Havdalah, hopefully not setting off their smoke detectors as I did this past week. I know, right? Recognizing that Ose Shalom, our prayer for peace, is what we most need right now. Again, not only a peace of mind, of body, or spirit, but a sense related to that word shalom, a sense of shalom, completeness and holiness. We join in an upbeat version. You heard it last week. Don't be embarrassed to sing along. Nobody else can hear you. Let it out.
I will.
Good.
Ose Shalom Imroma. Se Shalom Aleinu Ve'akol Yisrael Ve'akol Yoshvei Tevet Ve'imru Amen. Ose Shalom Imroma. Say Shalom Aleinu, Ve'akol Yisrael, Ve'akol Yoshvei Tevel, Ve'imru, Israel, Ve'akol Yoshvei Tevel, Ve'imru, Amen. Ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la la ya la la.
Shabbat Shalom from our family to yours.
Shabbat Shalom. Amen, brother.